All right, just because, Jamie, could we get a note in the chat if you can hear us? Or you can turn on your camera because we like to see your face sometimes.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to see my face right now. I can hear you.
Perfect. We'll save some time there. All right, good evening and welcome to the June 10th, 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals regular monthly meeting for the Village of Ossining. This is a public hearing that is also quasi judicial. We're using a hybrid format for today's meeting with the public invited to attend either in person or online via Zoom. Members of the public attending online may use the raise hand feature at the appropriate time. If you would like to make a comment, the raised hand feature is at the bottom. Those attending by phone can press *9, and that will function as raising your hand. Comments may be emailed anytime during the meeting via plan@villageofossining.org. Again, that's plan@villageofossining.org. The meeting is being recorded and a transcript of the meeting will be available at a later date. Ground rules: when you come up to speak in person or online, please state your name and your address. You must be signed in. Please limit your comments to the matter which is the subject of the hearing. All right. Could we start? Also joining us today is our Land Use Council, Linda Whitehead. Are you our Land Use Council?
Yes.
Because you're not our assistant. We've got Maddie Zahach, our Assistant Village Manager. I didn't see online. Do we have Joe Agostinelli?
Joe just arrived. Yes.
Joe, our village
Building inspector.
building inspector. I'm doing this from memory. I'm so sorry. Jamie Kane's our board secretary. And could we start with a roll call of the board, please?
We sure can. Erica Matias. Here. Chris Asensio.
Here.
Brian Granoff.
Here.
Corey Black. Here. And Jared Brusick.
Here. All right. The first thing we're going to do by the skin of our teeth is have a motion to approve the minutes from last month's mini meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes, Brian.
Seconded, Corey.
If there are no objections to approving the minutes, those minutes are approved as they were distributed. Great. So we're going to roll right in. New business of the board, we have ZBA 13-2025. This is for 7 Lincoln Place. Applicant is seeking an area variance to extend a non-conforming use by constructing additional living space in the existing attic of a 4-family residence located in a 2-family zone district. You're here on behalf of the applicant, JB,
Yes.
and you signed in, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I see
great.
the applicant up there too. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he's
Yeah.
listening in or if he wants to be brought over, do you know?
Probably bring it over.
Yeah, I would bring him over.
Tim, I'm gonna bring you over as a panelist. Hold tight.
For today, though, you'll be doing the presentation, at least to lay the ground.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, while he's coming in, you can go, JB.
Okay, so JB Hernandez representing Tim and Sarah Perot. They're owners of 7 Lincoln Place. They have purchased the property and they've been renovating, and they projected to have the houses they're gonna live in the apartment that we are renovating. This is a 4-family residence. This is a house that was built in 1836, and like.
Hold on, just 1 second.
Is this where you come from? You go to meeting?
The zoning board of
Yes.
appeals? Yeah.
No, look, for the zoning.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yes, yes. So.
You have the, okay, so that's the survey. And also. You go into the drawings.
JB for the application, do you mind going back to that?
Yeah,
Maddie?
to the survey.
Yeah. Can you just, for the benefit of the board and the community, indicate where on here you're talking about, which part of the structure is the attic over?
Is, okay.
Because I noticed the plans don't have the whole building.
Okay,
So-
so that's, it's basically where you read 2-story brick, that whole area is the.
This block up
Yes,
here.
no,
No, the
it's
front.
the whole.
So the tall
Oh.
rectangle excluding
Yes.
the back parts.
Yes.
Okay. The original structure.
The original structure, yes. Again, this is one of the, it has 4 units, is unlike some of the mansions in the area, like 36 South Highland, they also mentioned that have been converted into multifamily. what we are creating is condition the space in the attic or the 12th level. The spaces were, meant to, I mean, part of the use was meant to be as part of the residential. You can identify things like it has full stairs going up to that level. Also, when you go to the perimeter of the building, of the area that we are, that's the low level. Yeah, that's the up level. The perimeter of this area, actually, if you go down to the next, that's the demo, continue down. So that's the second level, yeah, one more. So the perimeter of this whole area is actually 6 feet, over 6 feet high. It does require by New York State Building Code to have a variance, which actually the state had granted us the variance to have the ceiling height between 6'4" and 6'8". We have renovated the stairs going up, and what Sarah and Tim are trying to use this space is for an office and a playroom, and there was the existing guest bedroom on the top. Most of the changes are interior. Those closets that you see on the edge, that's actually to install the HVAC for the lower level and for this level. And also, please note that they have done this with an environmental friendly system, which is they're doing geothermal.
So question, JB, the existing guest bedroom, was there a permit for that in its prior non-conforming, or was that added without a permit?
That was added without a permit
Okay,
prior to,
do you know when that was added?
no, it was done, but it's been there for a while.
But
Like
it's
you
not
can tell.
legal.
So
No, yeah,
Okay.
no, we're not,
So
I
there's
wasn't sure.
nothing on the attic level right now that's legal.
no.
Okay.
Again, there is no changes, and the exterior is something enlarged in the windows in the back, and environmental aesthetically had no impact on the existing building because it's only the windows in the rear and in the upper area. Again, this is all within the existing volume. We are enclosing the area for the HVAC system. And I know there was some comments or some emails about that in the past, the house have been in this way or has not been maintained. Again,
Well, we haven't read the comments out for the
Okay.
public yet, even though they will be in the public record, so we'll let you respond to that once we. read
Okay.
it. So my biggest question, I have your application right here, but this is for the benefit
Yeah.
of those in the room and those online. Why is this necessary?
well, right now they're, and they can speak more to it. They have moved into the space, and they want to use that as the office. I believe Sarah works from home, so they want to use that as an office. They have 2 bedrooms, they have a child. Just so we know, like that wall that we have there next to the stairs, we only put in that wall up for safety for the child.
What,
So they're gonna be used in the space as a playroom and as an office partially.
so I just want to go to your zoning worksheet real quick and check.
It is 62% increase.
Well, this says 52.19.
52, right, 62 total, we allow 10, right? So,
Right.
Got it.
So the variance is 50.
oh,
Got it. I was trying to find, there we go. So their current livable existing conditions, it says 1894 square feet, which is considerable.
mhm.
Does that include that non-permitted bedroom, or does it
No,
exclude
it
it?
doesn't have,
So it excludes it.
yes,
Okay. And
It
they want to go
includes the-
from that to 3,072 square feet.
right.
So my question is, I haven't yet heard the need, so maybe we can get
Oh,
the homeowner to describe the need for the expansion.
Hello? Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Hi, my name's Timothy Pirog. I'm the co-owner with my wife, Sarah Lynn. Only I could attend though, she's watching my son. So I work from home, primarily. So the top and my wife will also, I mean, she does work from home every so often, but she's an occupational therapist, so she does go out, every so often. She's actually relocating from New Jersey over to New York. We're both from Jersey originally. We just purchased the property. So we're planning on, both having offices mostly because we both will do some type of work. She started a company. She wants to start her own business in the occupational field. I previously had my own business in software, and I currently work for Oracle, and I work completely at home. So those two places are very important for us to be able to, work within the home. In addition, we have one child. We want to have up to 3 or 4. So that kind of space would be needed. We're planning on having another one this next year, and then maybe in another year. So really, it will be a full house with 2 working adults.
Okay, do you mind if I ask some questions?
Sure.
Just to recap, I think the need you identified was work from home situation with you and your wife, and also expansion of number of family members over time.
Yes, of
Is-
children. Yes.
Are there any other reasons?
Um. Some of the, okay, it's not livable. I was gonna say the HVAC takes some room. We wanted to do construction up there, for that. A playroom for, the kids inside. That takes a lot of space. Yeah, I mean, I think that covers the primary reasons, yes. And
Okay.
also another bathroom utility. It doesn't have, I guess, I don't know if this is relevant, but it doesn't have like a hookup for laundry or utilities inside. That's in the basement. So having that kind of stuff inside, I don't know if there's a need there. That's
Okay.
other than just living.
Got it. Thank you for the clarification. So this is for the board, for the community members, for you, and for JB, who's here representing you. I just wanted to read what was in your application that you guys submitted, because I think this is super important. The first sentence of general information says, a variance is a permanent change that stays with the property no matter the owner. Therefore, a variance cannot be granted solely to satisfy the needs of the present owner. So before we even get into the more than 50% expansion of a non-conforming use, I haven't yet seen in the application or heard an actual need for the expansion that's not your personal, the personal needs of the owner as you guys described it.
It might have to, part of it is that like Tim said, we add in the HVAC on the top.
That can be separate, so.
But if you show that, because you were questioning the size of the existing premises, if you show the floor below, please.
The second floor.
Second floor, yes.
Is this the entire unit? We couldn't tell,
Yes,
because I know there's more building behind this.
no, that is the entire unit.
So
And
Yeah, it's the second and third floor is the 4th unit.
Yeah,
I walked the property yesterday. I also walked the other application that's gonna come up later, and I took photos and I just made sure I had an understanding of the property. It looks like apartment 3 is behind there and there's something else. So really the whole original structure is one unit.
Well, the first floor is broken into 2 units. So the second floor and the third floor of this structure is 1 unit.
Got it.
So the first floor has 2 units in it, and that's separated into 2 about 800 square foot units. And then there's another brick portion of the house. You could look at the survey, and that has another unit in it. It's kind of attached to the house a little bit, but the majority of it is kind of in a separate structure. If you where the covered porch is, kind of where that
Yeah.
it doesn't, yeah, that kind of like square where the covered porch is primarily where the the third unit is. And
So there's 3 units on the first floor and just one on the second floor?
Yes.
yes, currently, yes, just one. And the third floor or attic, I don't know what it technically is considered, is empty. It's just empty space.
So is the over 1,800 square feet livable floor area per dwelling unit? I'm just double checking. I know what it says on this document, but that's just for the second floor and third
Yes.
floor. Okay.
And going back to the floor plan, I just want to point out that the size of the second floor is not conducted to, and you can see that there's the larger stairs that connect to the lower level. So there, you can see the layout, and this is typical of this all mentions that you have the 2 bedrooms, you have the double open space. In the center, you have the living room in the rear. So to add more like an office, or it would be difficult on this level.
Got it. But again, just to reiterify, those are wants of the owner. That's things that they need specifically for that family who currently lives there.
We will,
Yeah.
I
You have something? I saw you.
No.
Just have a question.
Yes.
Is this unit B already the largest unit in the house? Or are there any other units that are larger?
I believe it is the largest unit.
Got it.
It's the largest at the moment.
JB, I have a question. I have a question for you. That you don't have any dimensions on this plan of the rooms. You say that the space we're looking at here is a total of 1,800 square feet as is?
Yes,
I mean, to get to 1,800 square feet, I'm assuming these rooms are pretty large.
we can provide the dimensions and the square footages of every room.
I just want to make sure it's a T zone, which is a 2-family zone, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's why it's not conforming, because there's 4 units.
Just want to like say that out loud.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions before we open the public hearing, including Joe or?
No, I just wanted to make sure that the way you said 1,800 square feet of existing with a 2-bedroom unit is actually 1,800 square feet, and there's not any error there, because 1,800 square foot apartment on there with 2 bedrooms is pretty big. So I'm assuming these rooms are very large.
Yeah,
Or am I gonna see what's, I wanna see, no, I wanna see what was at the cutoff part. It's just the bathroom. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's just a bathroom.
Building behind there, but that's a different dwelling unit.
So there's just, now the other building,
It's 2 stories. It's a smaller 2 stories than this building,
Yeah.
so
it doesn't connect on the second floor.
no,
no,
Okay.
No, it doesn't connect.
different. They're offset.
So it's just the 1 bathroom.
Yeah, it's just one bathroom, which would be difficult with multiple children. So.
All right, so I'm gonna wait to read the comments from, we received comments from a neighbor. We'll read those during the public hearing, if that's okay. Yeah, and that's why I'm gonna read them after, because if it covers something that's not said, then I'll read it. If not, we won't read it. So could I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open the public hearing, Brian.
Second, Erica?
Second, Erica, motion Brian. If there are no objections, open the public hearing. Public hearing is now open. Other than the applicant, do we have anyone here? I think you 2 are here to speak on this application, right?
Yeah.
All right, just one at a time. We'll have you come up, but just make sure you sign in and write your address, and then we'll let you talk. So whoever wants to come up first. Make sure to sign in,
Sure.
and then we'll have you speak. Just to help everybody out, if you would like to sign in while you're waiting, we'll pass that around. You got it, thanks, Jimmy. We want to respect everybody's time, so I appreciate it. All right, and so if you're signing in, this will just be for the current
Yes.
application, this will be for 7 Lincoln Place. All right, I know you wrote it down, but just let us know who you are, what your address is.
My name's Florence Versace. I
Okay.
live at 19 Lincoln Place, which is the property adjacent to 7 Lincoln Place. They're here, we're here.
You're the multifamily unit across the
Yeah.
street? Yeah.
No, we're on the
Sorry.
same side.
Oh, it is the same side.
Yeah, it's the same
Oh.
side, and, it was, it had been, we knew the people who had owned it prior. Now, my question, I have one question, is it gonna be any kind of rental of any of those units, or is it just gonna be for single family use of the people who are buying it?
So it's a tricky question. I'll let the homeowner respond or the applicant respond. What's
Sure.
tough for us is we can't try to think what they may or may not do in the future.
Right.
That's more of an enforcement
Right.
thing. Because we haven't even discussed the logistics of it, which you'll hear from us in a bit, but we wanted to give all the neighbors a chance to
Yeah.
speak. So, for the applicant, do you have a
Sure.
response?
Yeah, so nice to meet you. My name's Tim Parag. So we purchased the house late last year. The plan was, I mean, I think maybe you could tell from the way that's designed is that we would like to stay there, live there, have a family there, grow up there, have them grow up there, right? There's obviously 3 other rentals that are already there. They're already there and they were occupied when I purchased the place. One of them, if you see any people coming over more recently, it's because one of them just vacated, so we're looking to fill that, and I've done some work. We've been doing some work, me and my father-in-law on the place to kind of spruce it up. They've been there for 10 years previously. So the plan is to really build up and develop the property. We're working on getting a geothermal HVAC system in, which is a very large system and is the most efficient type of system to heat and cool every single one of those units. So better, living situation for every single person that would live there. Our plan is, to improve the property and to make it functional, efficient, and comfortable for every single person who lives there, and for me to raise a family there, with my wife. So that's the plan.
Their property, it borders our property. We have a separation with a fence that we put up years ago.
Okay.
And because of either situations where they were emptying stuff or throwing stuff away or getting rid of things, we wound up with a rat problem on our side. We have young children, we have pets, and that's not acceptable.
So what
I'm
you're,
just sorry.
the logistics of what you're speaking about, and this is to help you
Yeah,
frame it for what we're doing today, is that's called intensity of use.
yes,
So more people living and doing things on the property or more space being used for living space can potentially lead to intensity of use. And again, variances live with the property, not the people.
mhm,
So even if this owner sold the property tomorrow or 5 years from now, that variance stays with whoever moves into the property. So good question. Do you have another?
we have 26 units. 3 are in the center, and then there's one in the back.
Is it that 2-story building on the other side?
No, it's on the same side. I don't know.
I was
if
trying to
can
find
see it
you.
From here.
We're just to the
You see
of
the
your-
red brick that you
on
can
the same
see over
side.
there with
This?
the big
The
tree?
other side?
That's us.
Yeah.
Back there.
That's you.
Yeah, that's
No,
us
that's
right there.
that's
Keep
their
going.
property.
Right,
Keep going, the next property down the road.
yeah,
Yeah, the next property.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, the
us.
2-story building.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
that's us. And, it's just that you're gonna put another structure on top of what's already there, which will go above where we're now even.
Well, they're not, right, you're not raising the roof, right?
No.
It's within, it's
No.
already sitting at it, what
Uh-huh,
they're proposing.
And
So
then-
the height would stay the same.
the height would say.
And then increase in the number.
Yes.
But there's going to be, if you're gonna start this soon, I assume, so that means it's heavy traffic, workers and all that stuff, which is, it's a quiet neighborhood. and we've lived there, I've lived there for 38 years. And the rats were really the problem that we decided to come here today. Can't stop anybody from doing anything, but if you are gonna develop property, then you should take the time and the care to make sure that you can prevent as much impact. And we're very close. It's not like we have huge space. You see where the fence is right there? That's our fence, the beige one. And those
Yeah.
are gates that go behind our building. And those trees that are there are their trees or the trees on that property. And they always come over onto our property. We've never had a real problem. We just always used to tell, or whoever was living there at the time, can you cut them back or whatever. But if you're going to take this undertaking, it sounds to me like they're doing a very big remodel inside. There is gonna be issues with either noise or more rodents. Right now, there's 2 dead ones,
Mhm.
all right, and they were outside.
So Florence, just to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak, right now I have you down, generally speaking about increase in intensity of use, noise and rodents.
Yes,
So I've got that marked down. I want to
Okay.
make sure if we get other people, I'm gonna mark down. with-
yeah, I just wanted to,
No, I appreciate your
they
time.
seem like they're very nice people, but, we're very close.
Yes, and we're here mostly about the property since
Right.
it'll be a long-term variance.
Yes,
All right, who's next on the list here? We've got,
yeah, go ahead.
it's Violet?
No, I didn't hear part of it, but I'm just here, Violet.
Violet,
No,
thanks,
yeah.
Violet.
I just want to find out about the parking issue.
Do
I
you,
live in-
where do you live, Violet? I'm sorry.
I have apartment right there too.
Oh, you're in the same,
Yeah,
right.
All in the
yeah.
same,
Got it.
Yeah, we're from the
we're all in
same.
the same place.
Okay.
I'm
So
just
parking
curious
is what it
about
was.
parking, because right now we have a parking issue over in that area there, on that street. Lincoln Place and Cedar, the other one is a Cedar Lane.
Cedar Lane.
Cedar.
So we're not, one thing I know that's not happening is there's been no request for a parking variance. So what that means is, as the homeowner stated, they want to have 3 to 4 children in the future living there, growing up there. And in time, that variance on this property might make it so you have 3 or 4 kids who need cars or share vehicles at one time, which could increase the intensity of the use on the property. So that's a good point.
So no, it's not a rental place
No, there's rentals on the property already.
already.
Yeah.
They're gonna live in one of the units,
Yes.
and there's
Okay,
still
okay.
3 rentals.
And those renters
Yeah.
they park on the property or what, on the street?
I could
Right.
comment on that if you'd like me to. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
currently, all the renters keep their cars on the property. One of our renters asked me if they could apply to the city for on-street parking, which I believe she did, but just in case she needed to use it, because sometimes they have problems with, other people parking in their spots if they have a person over. But I have cameras, I check them every day, I'm there quite often, and each renter keeps their car, so far, each unit, there's 4 units, each of them has 2 cars, each of those cars sit on the property, and they, from what I understand, very rarely do they use street parking unless maybe they have a friend or family over. There is room for maybe more. There's garage spots that I'm currently not using that maybe we could open up for more. But at the moment, there could at least be 2 for each. And easily fitted.
Is it okay to say that the hardship permit parking is not for friends and family? I just want to say that for the record.
So, I don't know why she applied. She just felt that she needed that just in case someone parked in her spot.
Not
That was
from-
her niche.
Yeah.
From this board's
Right.
standpoint, they have the required off-street parking,
Yeah.
which is 2 spaces per
We
unit.
see parking here a lot.
Yes.
That home doesn't have any stated need on the record for additional parking on the street. So if they needed to do that, they would actually have to apply for it. And they might end up coming before the board for that in the future specifically. That doesn't mean they won't legally park in the street, but that would be for enforcement by the village planning office.
And I do
Yeah.
not think this has anything to do with here, that the garbage. that
That's
was
what I was
put out.
gonna say.
Oh, you're gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, she'll speak to that,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah, of course, thank you. And are you Kendra?
No, I'm
No.
Carol.
Carol? Okay, let me just rearrange this.
I have a problem with the garbage. When you guys are cleaning out your apartment or when you doing the reconstruction and all the garbage, you put it right there, mattresses and everything comes on our part of the property. The garbage is not properly put away. You have garbage and
Okay.
spread out all over this, all over everywhere. And I think that what brings the rodents and the squirrels and the skunks because the garbage is not properly put away. We had mattresses sitting in front of our units that came from your place. I wish we had the picture. We don't have the picture. And the garbage was just spread all over the place. And I think y'all should take better care of things like that to keep the rodents down, to keep the squirrels down, to keep the skunks down. You should, whoever's living there, I don't know who's living there in your units or whatever,
Oh.
but you should talk to them about the way they do their trash, throw out their trash.
So, just one second, Carol. I forgot to mention that the public discussion, while we did do a one-off with having people speak directly to the homeowner, you can just tell us what the problems are.
Okay.
You make note. No, it's okay. You didn't know. You didn't
No,
know.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. Apologize.
So,
But,
Mr. Parag, I'm just gonna have you
Yeah.
hold until we invite you back to speak, okay?
Sure, no problem.
that's
problem.
big issues, and I think that's one of the reasons why we start to get rodents and things running around the place, because garbage is just thrown everywhere.
Mhm.
And they need to take proper care of how they put their garbage out, how they do their trash. And that's one of my big issues, because I have a little dog and I don't want no rat jumping on my door.
Okay, thanks, Carol. And next up I have, is it Marcy?
What if I can't remember? No, I'm just here to observe.
Oh, just here to observe, okay. Marcy, I'm just gonna cross your name off, just,
Mary.
or Mary, I'm so sorry. And do we have anybody else in person before we go to online to speak on this application?
She's with me.
Oh, she's just here. to observe. Okay.
She's my mom.
Do we have anybody online to speak about 7 Lincoln Place? All right, so here's the challenge, of deciding whether to close the public hearing or adjourn the public hearing. If we close it, we're voting today.
You can have a discussion before you decide.
Great. So I just want to discuss the time. Do you have any other questions for the applicant or JB specifically? During this portion, can I ask for a straw poll to see where board members are likely to vote? So this is an informal vote. This is not a binding vote, but I'm curious if we could have Maddie do a straw poll to get a sense of where everybody on the board says. So if we were to vote on,
Sorry, I didn't mean.
no.
I was just gonna say, like, can we
You can just
discuss
discuss,
first? Like, you were
yeah.
asking if we had questions, but can we discuss a little?
Yeah.
Internally first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Just because I wanted to say, like, I think this is very similar to the other case that we've had before us, right? Where they're trying to expand existing dwelling units and non-conforming existing dwelling units within the existing structure. So this seems to be something we are seeing.
So I'll give even more
Yeah.
context, so that's a great segue. To my knowledge, we have never approved a variance even close to this large, and in the one case in the past 5 years that I can remember being here, and approving expansion of a non-conforming use, it was a small percentage over 10, which is legally allowed, and we only did it because the apartment they were expanding that use for was undersized, so it actually brought the apartment up to code standards, and that was the only reason we made that exception. Outside of that, for just somebody wanting to expand their home how they want, we haven't done that. Because the code is written and has the law kind of, we're here as a release valve, but we're not here to push people further and further away into non-conforming space. The whole point of these codes and for us is to try to find a balance and get them closer to the code. So the home has the illegal non-conforming bedroom in the attic, which never had a permit. They're asking to occupy the entire attic, which is over 52% expansion on top of the 10%. And we haven't done that before. So in our discussion, I personally would want to hear really compelling reasons for that need, because I haven't heard any yet.
I have a question. What happens to the bedroom if it doesn't get approved? Because it's
So-
illegal, right?
So that's an enforcement issue with Joe's office. So once, whether something has, if something doesn't have a permit, enforcement. If somebody wants to get a permit and needs a variance, then they'll come before us. So if they apply to legalize that bedroom in the future, and it goes through Joe and Joe recommends them to the ZBA, then we would go through that specifically.
Well, just to add to that, remember, they're allowed a 10% increase, so he'd have to tell me what's the square footage of that room, and if it's within the 10%, he can legalize it and not have to come back to the zoning board.
Yes, which is not for us today,
Right,
because that's not before us. To
and
us,
you would need the measurements and,
correct.
you know, remember again, what you're supposed to be doing is balancing the benefit to the applicant versus the impact on the community. The impact here is the intensity of an already non-conforming use by adding significant more space area to that use,
And
allowing more people to live there by doing that.
so,
I'm sorry.
no, you do.
You know, some of the things, and I know Kyle talked before a little about, you know, it shouldn't be just because this family has a specific need. You know, some of the things are more general, additional bathrooms, office space, laundry space. Almost any family might want those, but I think the biggest thing here that you have to be careful of, this is a very large variance. So, you know, you're supposed to look at what's the minimum necessary to give them the benefit. And are there alternatives that would give them that benefit? So you look at that 18, almost 1900 square feet. Could things be done differently in that to give them some of these benefits?
Yeah, and so one of the things that stood out to me on this is, again, the owner could sell whenever they want and new families could move in and end up doing legally or illegally whatever they want with the spaces, and then we deal with that. So what precedent do we want to set for expanding non-conforming use? Because this would be the first time that we've done something that large. Why are we doing it? That's my big concern.
And I do think there's feasible alternatives. It's 4 units. Can't someone combine 2 units if they wanted to?
Yeah, feasible alternative, 800 square foot unit. I know that reduces rental income on the property, but that is a feasible alternative, and anything contrary to that would need to be shown in dollars and cents.
Well, it would make it more.
Well,
yeah,
combined.
Exactly.
So
Could I talk there for one moment?
Sure.
Combining, it would be very difficult for me because of the way that the stairs go down. Be very difficult for me to secure with children, you know. It's very far, right? Like when if everything's up, you know, 5 kids on so I'm on the 2nd floor to the top floor, I could close off the stairs and they can't go down. But if I can't have kids' bedrooms all the way downstairs into another unit, that'd be very difficult to, and then it would be very difficult to secure. I think from a kid standpoint, you know, having those 2 livable on top of each other makes more sense, but I guess, I mean,
Yeah, the problem is that's your need in the home right now, but this is a permanent variance that lives with the property in perpetuity. So,
sure. I mean, there's significant investment going in to the HVAC system. I mean, that's already in process. That's already going in. I mean, it would, that should be at least shown that I'm trying to invest in, you know, this community, invest in this property, and I don't, it just makes no sense that I'd make such a large investment and then just sell it, in my opinion. So I understand what you're saying, but I'm like, the HVAC system alone is $500,000.
Yeah.
And I would like to increase like literally there's only one boiler heating all of it, the heating and there's non-existent cooling. This would bring up, you know, the livability of this whole house. And not only that, it would be the most efficient way to do it. So that's just trying to improve this structure. And obviously it's a beautiful structure. And then, you know, the plan is to live here. And then if you want to talk about, you know, what gain do you get? Like there would be economic gain from having, you know, a family that wants to start a business and have kids stay within this, the community, right? Like I wouldn't be able to expand past maybe 2 kids here if I needed to. If we wanted to have more, we'd have to eventually move. You see what I'm saying? So,
So the point of the code, for us to air our opinions on this side, it's to
Yeah.
balance the applicant's need versus that of the
yeah,
entire.
I understand. Yeah.
Precedent setting is big. In terms of the HVAC, that's not livable space. So to my knowledge, that's not livable space.
No, that doesn't
So
count.
this doesn't impact your HVAC plans or your,
Financially.
well, well, no, because it's the same home, so it doesn't impact it financially.
It-
If you're not changing the number of units in the home to get more income, it has no financial impact other than you spending money to make an upgrade that you want to make. But the livable area and HVAC are 2 separate things. You can do the
I mean,
HVAC without this variance.
I think that if I may that, I mean, I do hear the neighbor's concern, I do understand all your concerns. And I would like to see if we can adjourn this and have the opportunity to talk to him about the site. And also provide some of the information, because I do believe that part of this is to deal with unique places. And when I look at the mansions, when I look at the mansions in Aslan, the all mansions, most of them, they're all like that, the old units, and then for some, like 36 maybe. So-
Existing non-conforming is different than allowing any homeowner without that to then do it because they want to. It's very.
So I think that I heard your, the board's concern, the neighbor's concern. I think I will propose that we can adjourn the public hearing and allow us to speak to.
So this is very important, and I want the homeowner to hear it directly from us, and I want you to hear it at the same time. What JB is asking is for us to adjourn the public hearing so you have an opportunity to come back with this application, but I think it's really important for everybody to know that by trying to change the application, that does in no way guarantees that this is gonna get approved. So the concerns that were brought up from the board, and I'll let them chime in if they have additional, is expanding a non-conforming use 50%, never been done before. 40%, not done. 30%, not done. So your request has to not only change, if this is what you're proposing, but you actually have to give real reasons that are not your personal needs and wants
Yes,
to demonstrate this need.
right.
And again, there is no guarantee that it'll get approved. JB's just asking us to go through the motions. So is that something that you want, Mr. Parag?
Well, I had that on mute. Yep.
Okay. So, rest of the board, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think you brought up good points and it's gonna. It's gonna be hard to make an argument over 10% when the existing unit already meets building code and is currently livable. I think that's really what it boils down to.
I think a village with so much non-conforming use already, and the point of the code is and the zoning is to bring us closer to the code. I just feel uncomfortable bringing us further away by such a high percent. But I'd be open to seeing within the 10% addition, that makes more sense to me, and making that bedroom legal. I feel more comfortable with that, if that's within, I know we don't have the measurements, but
Yeah.
the
Right,
10%.
If we decide to adjourn to come back, the following month, one thing that is necessary would be the measurements on all. the
Yeah,
floor plans.
that's
Uh,
right.
Because it sets a precedent, and I don't think that's fair, so that's my post.
We also have something that has the same kind of request following this, so it's really important to understand. When we talk about precedent, immediately following this is another one. We're also going to have a similar discussion. So, do you two have any final thoughts?
No, I think it's the same thing that others have brought up. Like to see better alternative. This is just something.
Yeah, I
So-
think we want to see it like the mentioned, because it goes to the fact of like utilization of the space, and we understand the lower level, and then what we said about alternatives. If the need is for X, Y, and Z, and if there's an opportunity before we permit any means, depending on the dimension, if it's gonna be something that can be solved without it.
And we've previously allowed expansion of non-conforming use to have another opportunity to come back at their request. So I'd like to hear a motion, if anybody's willing, to adjourn the public hearing on this application.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Erica?
So we've got Chris and Erica. If there's no objections, public hearing is adjourned to the next regularly scheduled meeting. And could I get a motion to adjourn this application?
Motion to adjourn, Brian.
Second for.
We had Brian and then Chris. Corey's had a lot on the books, so if there are no objections to adjourning adjourning this application is adjourned. Mr. Parag, you obviously have JB as a resource. If you need to reach out
Yep.
for additional information with the planning office, you have that as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, next up is ZBA. And if you were only here for 7, thank you so much. for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Might want to wait out the rain.
I know.
Bring it in.
It's supposed to be
Just-
here tonight.
And just because we're recording for the online thing, as you go down the hall, just try to talk toward the end because it'll echo in the hall.
Okay.
All right, have a good night, ladies.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have ZBA 14-2025. This is 194 Spring Street. As a reminder to the board, this has been before us several times, including last month. Applicant request is seeking an interpretation of zoning code section 270-39F for a proposed project, which is currently before the zoning board. Oh, we don't have an applicant. So as is the board's right, by law, we are allowed to take votes on applications as submitted with or without the applicant. Last month, the straw poll that was taken by the board.
Kyle, the interpretation application is on the agenda first.
Oh,
before the
my gosh,
application.
I'm so sorry. So, who has, I know you two haven't been here for this. I don't think you were here for an interpretation
Not in the
before.
past, no.
And you've probably heard an interpretation before. So, what I would like to do is, are we allowed to step away to do advice of counsel during the meeting?
Mhm.
What's the proper way to call for that?
It's just advice of counsel. There doesn't have to be any. You can just
Vote
say
or
we're gonna
anything?
go into advice of counsel.
All right, we're gonna try to make this quick, but we are gonna step away for advice of counsel and we'll be right back.
Okay.
So we're gonna go
All right.
All right, everybody, thank you for your patience. We walked away for advice of counsel requested by the board. We're gonna continue on with the zoning interpretation. So as a reminder, this is ZBA 14/2025 for 194 Spring Street. Applicant is seeking an interpretation of zoning code section 270-39F for a proposed project which is currently before the zoning board for an area variance. So, all the board members should have what was in the public record online, which is a copy of Mr. Levin's points. I believe there are 4 points. And I think it would be appropriate if we ask questions or talk about each of the points in here to address them on the record first, and then we'll open it up for, we need a public hearing for. We'll open the public hearing after we've discussed our points. So
Question, so we're planning on going through this, just for the.
oh, that's a
just
good
for the-
question. Who here,
Just for the record, say, is there anybody here?
yes, for the record, is there anybody here who is against proceeding with reviewing this interpretation at today's meeting? I don't see any objections to proceeding with reviewing this application.
And I would also just, so it's on the record, ask if there's anybody here representing the applicant.
Oh, that's actually a great question. I don't see anybody in the room, but is there anyone in the room outside or online who's here for application ZBA 14/2025 of 194 Spring Street? I do not see anybody online. I do not see or hear anybody in person. So unless there are any objections, we're going to continue on with our discussion. All right, no objections. Does anybody want to talk about the first point in here? It says, no, not, this is, so the bold parts are what are in the code. The responses are directly following. So the first point is, no non-conforming use shall be enlarged or extended, nor shall the intensity of the use be increased. The applicant's response was the project does not propose to increase the number of dwelling units, so the intensity of use is not increased in that respect. Does anybody have any?
We get the full language up on the things, just so we can see it.
From
not
the full
first pass.
text of the code?
Yeah, oh, sure.
So while you guys are, yeah.
Yeah, and just a reminder, so, you know, what we're doing here is, that their argument is that the proposed expansion is permitted under the code, and that the section of the ordinance is being misapplied.
Can someone give me a code section? please?
Yeah, I have it right.
270-39F,
Thank you. 270-39.
270-39 Frank.
Thank you.
There we go.
Frank?
So, I'll start off with one point about the first part. So if you read this as it's written, the applicant's representative is saying that the only way to increase intensity is to increase dwelling units. I disagree with that. Even if you don't increase dwelling units, people can decide to get another car in the same family and park in areas that there's no parking available. People can create more noise because there's a larger space.
Multi-generational living is a huge thing now. That now that homeownership is so expensive, so you can assume if you're not, I mean, if bedrooms are increasing, then you can easily increase the amount of people, the amount of families.
And what's important is this variance lives with the property. And so just because this owner today may or may not do something, which we don't know, we are not fortune tellers. It's with the property, whoever owns it or lives there. Does anybody else, anything other to contribute to that?
So I think it's that the intensity,
I
increase
believe,
in intensity is not just the number of units. A larger unit means more people, more activity.
more bedrooms in and of themselves, adding bathrooms or kitchen spaces to places that already have them in some other part of the house. To me, these are all indicators of things we've seen in this room in the past that could lead to more,
Intensive.
more intensity. So I disagree with the applicant's interpretation. I agree with the village inspector. I do not think that just by increasing dwelling units is the only way to increase intensity. I think increasing non-conforming use in and of itself can lead to increase in intensity.
Well, in the first part of that sentence, even no non-conforming use shall be enlarged or extended. I mean, they're extending the livable area. So while they're arguing that it is residential area, it was never built as livable area. So in my opinion, that is an expansion, an enlargement.
Right, it's not just about intensity.
Right.
It's expanding and enlarging.
So to Corey's point, the next part I have, I did a lot of research. I went to this property, took photos and walked around the home. I went to this property to make sure that what we were seeing on these plans was an accurate representation. And it's not. So the first thing I want to mention, which goes into any non-conforming use of a building or structure may be extended throughout any parts of the building or structure that were obviously or manifestly arranged or designed only for such use at the time said use was rendered non-conforming. So to boil that down, we will determine our opinion on whether or not we think that before he did this illegal construction in 2008 without a permit, was that basement meant for, was it designed for, to be a livable space? I'm gonna say no for a couple reasons. One, if you look at the 2008 plans that he submitted after a FOIL request, it specifically shows digging into the basement ground to get a ceiling height that was larger so that they could build in that space. If you have to dig the floor out of a space that's not livable in order to make it livable, to me, it was never intended to be livable. That
And enlarge the windows.
enlarged
To get
window.
appropriate egress.
So on the point of the windows, if you look at, Maddie, would you mind pulling up A100 on 194 Spring Street? So this is in the plans.
And a cricket and a frog. I don't know what's going on.
So I want to show the board two really important things. First of all, look at the left side, which is the basement existing as they put in plans. They've said that this is the existing basement floor plan. Notice the bedroom in the top right, the bedroom in the bottom right, bedroom in the bottom left, and the two bedrooms in the top left. Now, Maddie, go down to the two, you might have to open a new tab for this one because we're gonna go back and forth.
Okay.
I would just right click the next one, but click and go to the 2008 FOIL request.
Yeah,
It's in the,
yeah.
Yes, because this directly relates to
To the-
his argument.
To what the basement was.
Yeah. There's a yellow
plan.
piece of paper that has a hand-drawn plan on it. There we go. Okay, go down a little bit. First of all, on the left, you'll notice that remove existing slab earth. They are digging down to make that a livable space. So to me, it was not intended to be livable. And on the right side, if you scroll over and then up just a little bit, completely different layout than what they actually built. So not only did they get approved from something and not build that, so that was illegal, never got a certificate of occupancy. He then did additional illegal work without a permit. So I think that goes against his argument.
This does not match the existing,
Correct.
so this is what he claims to have gotten a
Right.
permit for, but then what he built is different.
He didn't even-
Including
that-
adding an additional stair.
Yes. So that doesn't pass muster for me. He didn't follow the plans as he's claiming that he did, and he expanded the use outside of those plans anyway. Remember, 2 bedrooms in the top left.
Yeah.
Split vertically.
Yeah.
Bedroom in the top right, bedroom in the bottom right, and bottom left. Now, another thing that's really important is I did a survey of the home in person myself. I walked the entire property. Some of the windows that he lists, if you want to go back to, yep. I'm gonna point these out. So the window in the top right, do you see that opening? That doesn't exist. There is no egress there. The window directly diagonal from that. on
There's
the
an oil tank in the bedroom.
Yes, there's an oil tank in the bedroom, which is a whole other safety issue.
Okay.
So there is no egress window there, nothing. It's just pure concrete. Maddie, that one right there that you're near, that window, up a little bit. If that was even a window, there's no window there. In fact, any windows on that side, I saw newer concrete plugs for everything on that side. So whatever was there in the past is not there now. They're all plugged up. So that bedroom not only was illegally built and not only was the plan expanded illegally, that is not to code, period.
So this, just going back to what we were talking about the obviously or manifestly arranged or designed for such use,
Correct.
because it doesn't have egress. It couldn't legally have been intended to be used.
Because that egress is not a new thing. That's been a requirement for a very, very long time. For apartments that are below grade especially.
So you go today to that bedroom, no windows.
There's no windows.
Just to the answer to that, egress was always required. The only thing that changed over the years is the size of the opening for the egress. It's gotten larger over the years, but egress was always a requirement.
Joe, I'm glad you mentioned size of egress. If we can go to the bottom right of that left side plan, you'll see there's a window there that says 29 inches by 15 inches. That window, which I couldn't find, and the one to the left of it on the other side are hidden underneath a porch behind walls that are built around the bottom of the porch with the cross hatching. So I couldn't see them. And the one window I did find there was less than 10 inches high. So it's definitely not that window. That's 10 inches is not proper egress before or after. So to me, all of these point to a basement area that was not intended for livable space.
Hmm.
Does anybody have any other questions on that point? Or discussion?
Joe, you can feel free to add anything also. since
Yeah,
we're-
something we
since
may
you're
have missed.
defending your
So,
interpretation.
yeah, Joe, this is, the point we're on now is specifically was it intended for livable space before they did this work?
I would say no, because of what you had mentioned, that if you look at that plan back in 2008, they were they didn't have the ceiling height. So the intent of breaking up the slab in the basement and digging down was an intent to create living space, which was not originally meant to be living space. So that in itself tells you that when you look at the section of the code that talks about intended to be used as living space, this space was obviously not, because the ceiling heights needed to be, and they've always been a minimum in the basement of 6 foot 8 inches. And it seems to be they had to dig a significant amount to be able to even get to that ceiling height. Because on the plan he's showing now, the ceiling height he's saying is 6'8". And my assumption is that they had to dig out what you see in this plan to even get to that 6 foot 8.
And so this is also on the interpretation, this is part of it. I talked about some of it would be fact specific to this application. This really is fact specific to this application. The idea of what's an increase,
Oh, we're moving on to
the
the third
enlarged
one.
or extended intensity, though that would apply to any situation. This one really applies to this particular situation.
So the argument for the third point, which we're on to now, may be enlarged or extended in accordance with the dimensional regulations specified for the district in which it's located. One of the things that the applicant stated, or the applicant's representative stated in person in our prior meetings, was that, okay, fine, we can't extend, we have this whole residential house print. And we can't do 10% of that, but we can do just that one apartment, just that one dwelling, and expand the use there. That actually works against them, because that would cause an even larger percentage increase when you separate the two apartments and don't consider the whole home. So in either case, using the entire home's footprint or just one dwelling unit's footprint, neither of them to me meets that standard.
He's also trying to say that in order for it to be an expansion or extension of, or an intensity of non-conforming use, there has to be a physical addition to the building, not within existing space. And it doesn't say that. So you can't imply words that aren't there.
We've also made many votes regarding this, where we also took that position as a board. You two weren't here. You two were here for prior expansion of non-conforming use. We have never concluded that in addition to a building is the only way that expansion counts. You're expanding a non-conforming use inside or outside the dwelling. If the space wasn't intended to be living area, attic, basement, and you converted it, that's what we're discussing.
I've also
And the fact
seen-
that I'm sorry. The fact that the prior discussion refers to existing space counters his whole argument. Because you've just said it could be existing space, and now you're saying, oh no, it has to be new space for it to.
Yeah, you can't change your argument. Well, you can, but you can't effectively change your argument to meet the conversation you're having. It's one way or the other. In both cases, I think, it works against the applicant.
And I've seen many a zoning code that distinguish between the expansion of an existing footprint and interior expansions. And this does not distinguish between that, so that, I think that's where we've constantly taken the position that it's the same, because they don't distinguish between interior or.
Yeah, and really the fact that the prior sentence talks about expanding into existing interior space.
All that being said, the applicant's fourth point shall not exceed more than 10% of the livable residential floor area. Based on what we've already discussed, the basement was never part of the livable, so expanding into it and making it livable by digging the floor out, needing to add egress windows, adding staircases, conflicts with this argument. So I've said all I need to say. Does anybody else have anything they want to?
Just to clarify, my last point about, it says F1 would not need to exist if we were only dealing with expansions that were a physical addition to the property. You wouldn't even need that paragraph,
So based on prior applications similar to this, expanding non-conforming use, based on our discussion, and this is, you get to disagree with me, please do, now's the time. It seems like we would be voting or looking for a motion to to deny the applicant's interpretation
and uphold the determination.
and
of
uphold the
building inspector.
determination by the village inspector. Does anybody disagree with that? And if so, please. Informally, would everybody be ready to vote today?
Yes.
I don't think it needs to stick around any longer.
Okay. Then could I get a motion to uphold the decision by the village inspector, which in effect is a denial of the appeal from the applicant?
So move, Brian.
Second, Chris?
All right, we have Brian and Chris. Could we get a roll call vote, please?
Sure, Erica Matias?
Oh, this is important.
Oh.
So if we are voting to deny and uphold, it would be yay. If you disagree with that motion or that vote, you would say no or nay.
Or just say in favor,
In favor
of the
In
motion.
favor.
In favor of the motion to deny. It's a double negative.
All right, we'll start again. Erica Matias. Chris Asensio.
In favor.
Brian Grano.
In favor.
Corey Block.
In favor.
And Chair Aberrizak.
In favor. All right, so this application reinterpretation has been denied. The village inspector's determination has been upheld. As is usually the case, this is a resolution, correct?
Yep.
So the resolution will be written up, it'll be signed, it'll be given to the applicant. All right, we are moving on to continuing business of the board. This is ZBA 06-2025, 194 Spring Street, the aforementioned property. Applicant is seeking an area variance for proposing to extend a non-conforming use by legalizing additional livable space in the basement for a four-family house located in a two-family zone district. I don't know the legalese surrounding this. I just know what our rights are. So I'm wondering if council could give the board what our rights are when an application has been before us before, but they do not show up, and what our rights are to vote on and discuss it.
So you typically, when applicants haven't been here, you've given them an opportunity, but we have confirmed with Jamie that they were aware that it was on and chose not to appear.
I
This has been
personally
on for
told them
several-
last month in person on the record that we would be likely voting this month.
And you've had a lot of discussion on this application. It's been, the only reason it was held over was to give them the opportunity to make their interpretation application.
Yes,
So, I think you can go ahead.
great. So we're always cautious of treating applicants in different ways. In this case, this applicant has had more appearances before us than the bulk of applicants. They've had ample opportunity, in my opinion, to share their reasoning, provide documents we requested. We've given them those opportunities. We even decided to adjourn again to allow them to appeal Joe's interpretation. which we have just found in favor of the village and against the applicant. So, I have no new points to discuss on this property. They've all been public record and have been said. I was one of the people that voted based on what was currently available. The outside of this interpretation, my vote would have been a no. And that was everybody else. So unless anybody has anything to challenge, now would be the time to have an open discussion if you still have questions about the property.
I mean, I only like somewhat, I'm a little bit like, oh, should we just adjourn it because they did get this interpretation and maybe they would do something different to their application, but they also haven't changed their application at all this whole time, or
They have
they can
not,
always come back with a new plan if they so choose as well, I guess, so, you know.
it's tough because I'm usually the one in favor of allowing applicants to come back again. That's why we motioned to do the interpretation at this point.
Right,
My-
you let them come back with that.
They've come back 5 times, or they've been here at least 5 times, and in those 5 times, they have given us no new information that supports their claim. They've only given us information like the 2008 FOIL request that works against them. And they haven't given us things we've asked for. We've asked for the plans to be redone with measurements like everybody else to include ceiling heights. We've asked them for plans that show what was actually real back in 2008 before they did the work, what is actually existing now, and a real clear description of the changes. They haven't provided that to my satisfaction. But not everyone has to agree with me, so I hear your points, and I'm usually on there. Today I'm not, but I'm one person.
I'm not saying I mean, I agree, I think they have.
No, it's a good
They
point.
haven't quite shown that they're working with us.
I
Or
think-
even if they would have said that they couldn't have made today, you know, and asked for it to be pushed, like.
But they didn't.
Right, so I think at this point, we know what the proposal is, they haven't changed it.
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, for me, I'm stuck with the idea of, adjourning, giving them another opportunity, but instead of putting the pressure on them to, come with figured solutions in a month, it may be best to vote on it now. And if they come with new ideas, they give them as much time as they need to come later in the year with a new application.
And I think Corey's point is really important for the record. We did have a discussion of whether or not it would be appropriate to proceed with or without the applicant. Council had let us know that they were told that this would still be moving forward, and they have not appeared. We are almost an hour and a half into the meeting and they haven't come up. Sometimes things happen. So I would be in favor of continuing. It looks like you are too.
And did we do a straw poll? So like, it was just dependent on the interpretation.
Our straw poll,
Yeah.
while not formal, yes, that was the question that was asked.
So I think because what we deliberated on with the interpretation, I think we should just move forward with denying.
So we have at least 3, which is a quorum.
Yeah.
So you guys might vote for it anyway, but,
Just again, for the record.
Yeah.
Just say, anybody here on behalf of the applicant?
oh, yes, no, that's important. So again, for the record, is there anybody here on behalf of the applicant? This is for 194 Spring Street, ZBA application 06-2025. I see none in person. I don't see any online. I only see building department staff or planning department staff left. Could I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open, Corey?
Seconding, Chris?
So if there are no objections to opening the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here to speak on the application? I see none, I hear none. So I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close, Chris?
Seconded Brian.
Chris and then Brian. If there are no objections, the public hearing is closed. All right, public hearing is closed. Could we run through the 5 factors of this? Oh, I have to, oh, yes.
I mean, I could do it from
No,
memory,
good.
believe it or not. You want to test me?
No, we're gonna be solid. I even have the page saved.
Cause I can do it.
You took my cheat words though.
You know I can do it.
I know.
So the board has to balance the benefit to the applicant versus the impact on the community. And to do that, you have to consider the 5 factors. So going through the 5 factors, the first is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
I was gonna say yes, because it's gonna do extremely up the intensity. 'Cause it's like doubling the size of the units.
Two of the units.
Yeah,
Especially since we have to consider the fact that this was never a legalized basement. So in terms of what we're voting on, there are no apartments there. So to take a unintentional living space, illegally make it living space against the plans that were received in 2008 and add two units, I think that increases the intensity substantially and is a detriment to nearby neighbors. I also want to point out on this that, well, environmental safety is coming up. I'll save my bet for that.
Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method which will be feasible for the applicant to pursue, but would not require a variance.
In this case, the feasible alternative it's tough, actually. They've already built out the space,
Irrelevant.
which is irrelevant.
You're under.
So my consideration would be a feasible alternative. Is the alternative required? Are the living spaces without the basement 800 square feet or more? And I would say that there is a feasible alternative to make those meet the minimum livable area without the basement being added as livable space, which we've discussed at length.
Can I just say one thing, if I'm permitted, Linda? Is I believe, on the application, the 2 units that he's trying to expand are slightly under the, minimum of 800. So feasibility is, since he has the ability to expand the nonconformity by 10%. If he chose to do that, which would not require a variance, he could probably still bring those units to the minimum size requirement of the code anyway. So that is considered an option that he can do. That's
They
a
could do a
flexibility.
lesser addition, but also combine the 2 units.
Or combine the 2 units, of course.
Correct.
there are definitely multiple other alternatives.
During one of our earlier meetings on this application, we had specifically requested and then reminded them that if one of the suggestions was to combine the apartments, and we asked, okay, well, we need real financial dollars and cents estimates of how that would impact you in a way that makes this not feasible for you, and that was never provided. So I would agree with Corey and say that there are feasible alternatives. One of which is combining the apartments on the first.
Yeah,
floor.
what they want is a bigger apartment.
Correct.
Okay. 3 is whether the requested area variance is substantial.
Requested area variance, and these are the buzzwords that I remember from that notebook. It's both numerically and impact substantial. It's larger than we've ever approved for expansion of non-conforming use, and that's compounded by the fact that it was built illegally. And even when given plans, was expanded illegally on top of illegal plans. I think allowing that kind of work to be approved just because it's already there sets a bad precedent, which I know is not our council's favorite word, but I do believe that sets a bad precedent, and I do believe that's a bad example to set to other homeowners who may do things illegally because they know that they'll get improved in the future. And I think that community-wise, that has a very large negative impact on the community.
4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
When you don't have egress windows at all, let alone proper egress windows, in the case of a fire in that home and how it may expand to the homes next door, what might happen to village resources required to take care of a property that wasn't safe and up to code. I do think it will have.
It couldn't be built if it wasn't brought up to code.
Correct.
So I
Oh,
can't use that for the variance
Got it.
because they would be required to put in the egress windows and do all of those things before Joe could let them.
So while I would say like the building, the physical envelope isn't expanding necessarily to create any environmental issues in that regard, the expansion of the intensity and the amount of parking and people and everything could have a negative impact. But
Remember, you don't have to find everything.
yeah, I was gonna say, but I think this one's a little bit looser just because it is all interior. I don't think there's so many, but
I also think it's important because they're not here. It should be a pretty strong discussion. So I agree with Corey.
And last is whether the alleged difficulty is self-created.
So self-created, as was mentioned before,
Yes.
for area variances is not in and of itself determinative. However, in this case, I think it aligns with the fact that this homeowner got a plan approved by the village in 2008, did not follow that plan, illegally expanded that plan, never got a certificate of occupancy, and now is coming back before that. I think the hardship was self-created. It's been the same owner the entire time. That owner was involved in the work. And purposely converted what was obviously not a livable space into a livable space. And so I do think it is self-created.
only coming in because of enforcement.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's a good point. All right, based on what we've discussed in the 5 factors, I think the discussion lends itself to approving a motion to deny this application. So if I could get a motion to deny this application.
Motion to deny Brian.
Motion second, Chris.
Brian and then Chris. Could we do a roll call vote, please? And this is, again, you're voting yay or nay to deny the application.
Okay, Erica Matias. Yeah. Chris Asensio.
Yeah.
Brian Grano.
Yay.
Cory Block.
Yeah.
Chair Aparizic.
Yay. Not a yay, but yes, a yay, yes. So this decision will be communicated to the applicant through a resolution, which will be duly executed and delivered through the planning office. So that's all that we have on the agenda. Adjourn matters.
By the way, on my comment that they could combine the first floor units, if you look at the first floor layout, it actually looks like it was at one time all one unit.
Which is hard for us to know whether or not it was
Right.
because so much work keeps being done. On the adjourn matters, just a reminder, I've been reminding each month, next month would be the first month we can consider whether or not to keep this on the agenda based on our previously set policy. So we're going to continue that adjournment. If I could get a motion to adjourn the public hearing or adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn, Corey.
Motion second, Chris.
Corey and then Chris. All right, if there are no objections, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Joe and Jamie both said they could hear the frog.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a frog, not a cricket.
I don't
Yes,
know.
I could hear it. I've actually thought it was outside the window of my house. Now it is.
Joe, thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.